Hey, it's Buddy Lee. Welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to be looking at Hitmonkey and some things that he can do that you wouldn't realize just by reading his abilities. Hitmonkey does amazing damage with his guaranteed crits, and then secondarily, he gets some bleeds that are decent as well. You apply one bleed by landing 3 crits in a row, and if Assassin's Cunning is active, they have a chance to be critical bleeds. However, there are some tricks that you can use to get way more bleeds than just 1 by every 3 critical hits. So we're going to look at that, as well as the synergy that is underlooked for him, and then finally looking at his rarely used Sp1 miss counter and his utility around the Sp1. First, we'll look at how to get extra bleeds from the Sp2. In this clip, I'll do what most people do and throw a medium light medium into the Sp2. We get 1 bleed from the medium light medium, 1 for the first bullets, and 1 for the second set of bullets for 3 bleeds. And here's how you get the extra bleeds from Sp2. You throw only a medium light into Sp2, and this time the first bullets are going to give 3 bleeds, and then the second still does 1. The next thing we'll look at is a synergy that can also boost Hitmonkey's bleed damage by a ton, and that is the No Evil synergy, which is known mostly for what it does for Black Bolt, but it also goes along with Hawkeye and gives him a nice 20% attack boost on his arrows while the defender's bleeding. But for Hitmonkey, it makes the last 3 hits of his heavy attack guaranteed crits, and I'll show you how you can get extra bleeds from this as well. So the big thing here is that Hitmonkey's heavy attack has 4 hits, and the synergy makes the last 3 hits critical, so the first hit isn't guaranteed. However, if it does crit, it can add extra bleeds similar to what we looked at with the Sp2. These first 2 examples are what happens when the first heavy hit doesn't crit. First, I just parry and then heavy, and I get 1 bleed from the final 3 heavy hits critting. This time I parry medium and then into heavy, and the first heavy hit doesn't crit, and I gain 1 bleed once again. Now let's look at what we get when the first hit of the heavy does crit, when we have the synergy. Here is a heavy without the medium, and we get 2 bleeds when all 4 heavy hits crit. And when we do parry medium heavy and everything crits, we get 3 bleeds from it. Now let's put this all together and see what happens when we can spam a few heavies. We do our medium light into Sp2 and stack a bunch of bleeds here. Now watch how these bleeds stack from 0 to 8 after spamming some heavies, and many of these are critical bleeds doing a ton of damage. And we'll finish her off with medium light Sp2. Now let's look at the post-fight stats, and bleed damage did a whopping 39% of the damage in this fight, which means we did 214k bleed damage. Normally Hitmonkey isn't thought of as a super high bleed damage champion, but this would beg to differ, so let's test him out in Act 7.3 on a Do You Bleed path. We're going to start the fight with a recombo to first get rid of the damage mastery debuffs, and then we want to be in Assassin's Cunning, which is the purple mode, for the critical bleeds. We're hoping for all 4 crits on the heavy, but if we don't get it, we still get the normal bleed, so it's not a big deal. This time we get the full crit. So it is RNG related for the extra bleeds on heavy, but you really can't lose. If you get just the 1, you're in the same spot that you would have been. We get the extra bleeds again, and now we bait a special from Quake and then do the medium light into Sp2 for more extra bleeds, and we're doing great damage. This last Sp2 gives us 4 bleeds and all of them critical, and that'll do it for this fight. 64 hits and 1 minute and 11 seconds. Green Goblin is always annoying to fight, and we also have to manage our paradox charges, which increases every time either of us throw a special and decrease with intercepts. That was a nice heavy, and we're ready to throw a medium light into Sp2 as well. Okay, that fight was 74 hits and 1 minute and 41 seconds. Now, let's have my 6-star rank 2 Nick Fury take one of these fights to compare how Hitmonkey is doing in bleed damage. Now, regardless of how this goes, I'm not saying that Hitmonkey is a better bleed champ than Nick Fury, and my Hitmonkey is a rank 3 to this Nick Fury at rank 2. And finally, this Nick Fury is in first life, so it's not to say anything definitive, but only to have a reference. So for comparison, Nick Fury took 94 hits in 1 minute and 59 seconds. So I only do this to show that Hitmonkey is a legit champ for bleed damage in particular, and not just his guaranteed crits. Now we'll jump into the boss fight here, and this Stark Spidey looked interesting to me because there's heavy assault, which means it increases attack rating on heavy attacks by 500%, which should be interesting with our new heavy strategy that I've been showcasing here. He also has Mixmaster, Aggression Fury, and Be Like Water. The Be Like Water has Starkey go unblockable with any non-damaging debuffs for 8 seconds, so we need to watch out for that. Starkey evaded, activating our Assassin's Cunning, so we're ready to do our parry medium heavy. We didn't get our extra bleeds, but the crits do big damage, and the bleed we did get was critical, ticking for over 5k per tick. We get Assassin's Cunning again by using Mixmaster to make Starkey evade, so we're ready to try that parry medium heavy again. Now we wait for Starkey's unblockable to fall off, and we parry medium heavy once more. This time we do get the extra bleeds, and they're going for over 8k in total. One more heavy and this boss fight goes down in 32 hits without even throwing a special attack. Alright, the last thing we'll look at in this video is Hitmonkey's Sp1 utility. So first, we will fight Miles Morales to show how he counters miss. To counter miss, you want to be an Assassin's Cunning. Normally, against Miles, you just don't throw any specials, but Hitmonkey's Sp1 cannot miss in Assassin's Cunning. If the Sp1 does cause a miss to fail, it refreshes Assassin's Cunning, and you get to go unblockable and get a Vigilance, preventing miss until it expires. This is actually a case where Hitmonkey's signature ability comes into play, because extending the duration of the monkey schemes lets you keep this counter and unblockable active longer. Now we'll use the Sp1 to counter auto block against Modok. For this one, we want to activate Primal Rage instead of Assassin's Cunning, and in Primal Rage the Sp1 is unblockable, and if it breaks through the defender's block, you refresh the Primal Rage and get that unblockable and Vigilance again until the Primal Rage expires. So here we break through the block with our Sp1, and now we can ignore Modok's auto block until this stuff expires. We do this one more time, and that'll take us to the end of this fight. So this Sp1 utility isn't the strongest thing in the game, but I feel like it's been totally forgotten by most, or never even realized it exists. Well, I hope you learned something from this Hitmonkey video, or at least enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give the video a thumbs up, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.